Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Time for another edition of Kenzie's Krimes, sponsored by Angst and Alibis. You don't want to miss Angst and Alibis. It's a murder mystery at a pop-punk concert. Enjoy music by Chicago favorite Louder Now, then solve a murder with everyone around you. Correct guesses get put into a drawing for the $500 cash prize. It's a night of music, games, and prizes. Come party with us for one last rager before the holidays. Tickets available at angstandalibis.com. Use the promo code Q101 specifically for that deal. Make sure you do that.
Kenzie's Krimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a north side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
C says Heaven's Gate away team.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with another edition of Kenzie's Krimes, a deep dive into a murder mystery drama in our area. And Kenzie tells us a story. We sit around the campfire. Myself and Case do not know the story she's about to talk about, so we're as shocked as you when we get to the details.
So late spring 1998 in Kokomo, a beautiful farming region in Indiana, it was the first heat wave of the season. 21-year-old Anita Woolridge was staying inside to avoid the heat like most people were if they weren't farmers. Anita was scheduled to work an afternoon shift at the shipping company that day and was going to have lunch with her grandparents and her boyfriend beforehand. Her boyfriend planned on picking up Anita around noon. However, around 12:30, Anita's mom came home from work. Her daughter's boyfriend was standing out front of her house, and Anita's car was gone, and the garage door was left open. On the garage floor was a screen that was like a window screen that went onto the window from the kitchen facing the garage. It had been removed and left on the floor. Near it was a large wad of electrical tape with hair stuck in it. The front door was unlocked, and Anita was not inside. However, her mother saw blood on the kitchen table and floor, and then she decided to call the police. Police arrived bringing a forensic team and put out a search for her car. The screen found in the garage had been forced out of the kitchen window. Anita's work clothes were found folded and set out in her room. Her employees also confirmed that she was incredibly reliable and it was very weird for her not to show up to her shift. Anita's mother told officers the only thing that seemed to be missing from her daughter's room was a red bathrobe that she had recently embroidered for her daughter. Her glasses and her contacts were both left at home, and she's not able to drive without them. But her keys and car were gone. Her parents' bed had also been stripped of the comforter, and the sheets were messed up. They were interviewing neighbors, and a few claimed they saw a man wearing a blue backpack walking up to her front door around 10:30 that morning. They interviewed dozens of people, friends, neighbors, coworkers, but after 24 hours, no one had seen or heard from Anita, and her car had yet to be found. Officers continued with their interview and their search, interviewing a man that was a friend of Anita's father. He said he spoke to Anita on the phone the morning she disappeared. He called around 10:30 or so and asked to speak to Mr. Woolridge, Anita's father. Anita said her father wasn't there. Before she could take a message, she asked him to hold on because someone was at the door. She came back to the phone and said, really rushed, that she had to go and hung up. And I'm going to pause right there because who she had to go for is who ended up taking her. So I'm going to pause.
Oh, boy. Well, we'll come back in 3 minutes and get the conclusion of Kenzie's Krimes today with Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with the conclusion of today's Kenzie's Krimes. And Kenzie, kind of catch us up where we're at right now, where we left off, the cliffhanger.
Yeah, so if you're just joining us, don't worry, you're not behind on the story. So Anita Woolridge lived in Kokomo, Indiana. She was 21 years old and she lived with her parents. She was supposed to go to lunch with her boyfriend as well as her grandparents the day that she went missing, but she wasn't there when her boyfriend showed up, nor when her parents showed up. 24 hours later, no one had spoken to her or found her car or seen her. However, she was on the phone at 10:30 in the morning with one of her father's friends, and she was taking a message for her father when she had to go because somebody was at the door. Officers interviewed a previous friend / coworker of Anita's, and she said that she was nice to everyone, even difficult people. She remembered a man at the gym they worked at. This is years prior, okay? His name was Victor Steele. He was inappropriate and crass with the women on staff. He was so inappropriate, his membership was eventually terminated for how he treated the women there.
Well, that's good. Mm-hmm. At least got that guy out of there.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, they checked on his criminal background, and he had been previously convicted for abduction, in which he had stalked a woman on the Indiana University campus. He waited out front one night until she knew she was alone, knocked on the door, and took a knife out of his backpack. Okay,
good Lord.
And assaulted her. He let her go, though. He didn't want to kill her because part of this man's fantasy is feeling like he's won the woman over and feeling like he is their boyfriend. He only served 8 years for that crime.
Jeez.
They were trying to locate the suspect, Victor Steele, but in an inconspicuous way because they were concerned that if he knew officers were onto him, that he'd kill Anita. The officers felt that Anita was still alive based on this man's fantasy. He wants to win a woman over and actually keep her. That's his goal. But out of fear of being arrested again and being convicted again, they think that he would then dispose of the body. So they're trying to keep it on the down low. There was a car for sale outside of his home, and officers wanted to make contact, pretending to be interested in the vehicle. They arrived at his house and knocked on the door while wearing wires. An older woman answered the door. She said her son was the one selling the vehicle, and she invited them in to discuss it. She said her son had moved to Wisconsin a few weeks earlier, and he hadn't hooked up his phone yet, so she had no number for him at all. Investigators discovered Victor had rented a truck in Indiana just before the abduction. The truck drove a total of 910 miles round trip. They divided the distance in miles and traced that distance around Kokomo, looking for a place that would add up round trip. One town that was that distance was La Crosse, Wisconsin. His credit card records also showed he purchased gas at a convenience store, they called it, and the location was La Crosse. They notified the FBI because of the crossing of state lines with his victim. 6 days after she went missing, they found her car not too far from her home, abandoned on a street just a few miles from Victor's home as well. The car was unlocked with the key still in the ignition. In the trunk, they found the red bathrobe that was missing from her room and severed electrical ties, which is actually a good sign because if she was alive, you'd need to cut off the ties to assist her in getting out of the trunk. So they felt like that was a sign of life upon him leaving the scene. Officers again visited Victor's mom, posing to buy the car. She said she still didn't have a phone number, but did have an address. She shared it with the officers. They immediately deploy officers to Clint Street in La Crosse. His red pickup was parked outside, and they quickly applied for a search warrant. While waiting, they follow Victor around. He went to a lumber warehouse and bought huge planks of lumber, which concerned the officers. Was this for a cage or for a coffin?
Oof.
They pulled Victor over 8 days after Anita went missing while he was out running errands, trying to separate him from the rental property where she was most likely being held captive. They brought him in for questioning. He lied to them and said he was living in his truck, so he denied having residence in La Crosse. Unbeknownst to him, officers were entering his home at the same time of the questioning. Anita was found inside the home in a metal cabinet barred with a wood stick and a knife, as well as a small quarter placed on top of the metal cabinet, and I'll tell you why in a minute. She was alive. She had made no noise while the officers were searching the place because he told her he was going to do fake police raids and searches to test her, and if she cried, he'd kill her.
Whoa.
She was inside this metal cabinet without any handcuffs, not being gagged, anything. He placed the quarter on the metal cabinets because he said if it moved at all, he'd kill her because he knew he tried to get out.
Jeez.
Victor was immediately arrested. He showed no remorse. He actually seemed frustrated he'd been caught. She said that 8 days prior, he knocked on her door. She recognized him from the health club, and he said he was on a bike ride and just needed a glass of water, so she invited him in. He used a stun gun on her when her back was turned, pouring him water. He dressed himself in women's clothing and a wig before leaving the house. He tried to shove her out the kitchen window, but instead deciding walking her outside to the garage to put her in the trunk was the best decision. Victor Steele acted as his own lawyer in January 1999 trial. He he was sentenced to life without parole.
I'm glad that didn't go well, him representing himself. Yeah.
Thank God. I mean, he only got 8 years prior, so thank God this was life without parole. In 2010, Anita co-authored a book with her therapist, Angela Rogner, titled 8 Days in Darkness, where she detailed the story of her abduction and rescue. Although Anita currently prefers to stay below the radar, the interview mentions that she works as a firefighter and is gradually coming to terms with the demons of her past.
So this is a rare, despite her trauma, happy ending in Kenzie's Crimes.
Abducted and kept for 8 days, and she made it out alive and is living her life right now.
Well, that's good news. Good
Absolutely. And he gets life without parole.
news.
Amen.
Very good news. Also, side note, Case, you're from Indiana. Have you been to Kokomo?
Yes, there used to be a great indoor skate park in Kokomo. No longer there.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know. One of the many tragedies of this story.
Well, that's the trauma that we didn't talk about.
Kenzie's Crimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
C says Heaven's Gate away team.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.